And we're back. So today's topic, as I said, is about loneliness. How loneliness can harm you. Loneliness can downright kill you. And the sooner you learn about this, the sooner you recognize it and know what to do to protect yourself from allowing yourself from staying in that state or the emotions of loneliness and prolonging it. Because if it goes unchecked, oh my gosh, it does some serious damage to a person. Okay? One thing I will tell you is this. Loneliness can cause stress. It really can. When it causes stress, this is what is very important. If there's anything I'm talking about that is going out the window, please pay attention. It's important. Loneliness can cause stress. And when it causes stress in your body, here's what happens. Our bodies can go under stress. We are built to withhold stress and withstand it and learn from it. Okay? But when the stress is prolonged and it's long, it can harm the body in a sense that it creates some chemicals in the brain. Okay, let me put it in another way. The brain will secrete these hormones called cortisol. Some people call it the stress hormone. Cortisol, it is not a good chemical for your brain to produce because cortisol can also affect the brain in the sense that it can cause a problem in the neurons in the brain to become less active. Let me repeat this. The cortisol in the brain, okay, can cause your neurons. The neurons are neurotransmitters that when we communicate and we are processing things, they send information to each other for us to make sense of it. When that part of our brain gets disrupted, it can cause cognitive issues. And those cognitive issues can be detrimental to us. Okay? And also, cortisol can decrease your immune system's response to infection. This is serious. Cortisol is not a good thing to have in your system. Okay? That stress hormone that you hear about, because when you have cortisol in your system, you can start having more problems of not having positive thinking. You think more about negative thinking and what you don't have rather than what you do have or what is working. Okay? So cortisol is something that we have to become aware of when we decide or when we start becoming sad and we don't change the dynamic and we stay in that sense and ruminate on it and then it creates loneliness, then it's very hard to stop the strain from going to wherever it decides to go. Because we as human beings, we have to be aware of our environment and what we are allowing ourselves to think about. In another word, cortisol can also cause inflammation in our body. And this inflammation is connected to our heart. It's connected to heart disease and even things as bad as stroke. This is no joke. Loneliness can do damage to us. And we cannot sit back and allow it to take us down. Okay? It is also very important to become aware of how to manage the emotions that you start having with the loneliness. Okay? With that emotion, it's very important for us to deal with it. And here's the thing. Sometimes things don't go the way we want it or the way we've planned it. And they go awry. Our plans go awry. things go the way, to a different place that we completely didn't even see coming. But when they do, please be aware you have the power to change how it goes. We don't have a choice to choose how the stuff goes, but we have a choice to look for solutions, or you stay with the problem. The problems will come, but the goal is to look for the solution, because the solution is what is going to help you to come up with a better way of processing what you're dealing with. And once you do, you change the outcome. One of my greatest teachers is Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he mentioned, he wrote a book, and it's available. Anybody can go and get it, and it's on audiobook and stuff. He said there's a spiritual solutions to every problem. And if you change the way you look at the situation looks different, and you will end up beginning to have a different outcome. It's very important. Nobody say you're not going to have problems. Nobody say you're not going to have things come at you that will make you sad, angry, and Lord knows what else, other emotions that is there. But when they come to you, understand that you cannot sit there and watch it debilitate you. You have to make a choice. There's always a choice to be made. No matter how bad you think it is, there's always a choice. One is, okay, the situation is bad. The other is, what can I do about it? And if I can't do about it, okay, I'll accept it as, okay, it happened. I'm not going to be in denial. Now, what am I going to do with this? What lessons am I going to learn from this situation? How am I going to grow from this? What do I need to do? How can I change this? See, those are all solutions. Problem solving. Your thoughts are going to problem solving rather than sitting and say, I can't believe nothing ever goes right. No matter what I do, it never goes right. This is just my life. Everything I try, nothing ever works. Oh my goodness. You're not helping yourself by doing that. That further increase the cortisol level. And the goal of changing your thought process and seeing how the solutions and how to solve the problem becomes much more impactful for you. It'll help you become more solid in your thinking in order for you to come up with a plan of how to maneuver yourself out of the situation or turn it into a lemonade. There's always choices to be made. Okay? Now, in order to do so, it's very important to become aware of another chemical. There's two of them. Dopamine. Dopamine works against cortisol. If cortisol is high, that means dopamine is low, the happy chemical. Okay? If dopamine is high, cortisol is low. Cortisol, when it's low, your dopamine increases. You realize that you smile, you have more joy, you're more excited, you think clearly, you're much more able to come up with a solution. And in doing so, will create another chemical in your brain, which is another hormone called oxytocin. Okay? This hormone is very important because you know what it does? Some people call it the love hormone. And some people call it, well, the joy hormone. You can call it all kinds of names. It's very important to understand that oxytocin is a good chemical, or it's a good hormone that your brain can produce to help you. That's the best part. When people are in love, this is the chemicals that's involved. Oxytocin. Happy. Joy. Dopamine is happy, but oxytocin is the love chemical. Once dopamine starts increasing, oxytocin will increase too. So these things, become aware of it and how to start changing your thought process from staying with the cortisol to making sure that you increase your dopamine, which then help increase oxytocin. Okay? That's how you start combating. How do I increase my dopamine? Well, there's a whole range of things. Okay? One, and you can employ any of these ones if you want to, whichever one worked for you. One is through working out. When you work out, you immediately start decreasing cortisol and increasing dopamine. Okay? So working out, sweating. One thing I always do is I go for a walk, not every day, but every other day. I walk for like 4 miles. And I kid you not, when I come back from my walk, oh, I'm a beast. I get so excited. I will be dancing, jump. I literally feel like I could jump off the roof. That's how happy I get. I get so happy, and I'm playing my music and I'm dancing. Sometimes I'm in a driveway and I am dancing while I'm trying to stretch. And I recognize that, yeah, my dopamine is so amazingly high from this walk that I just went to. So it's not a rigorous exercise, it's just a walk for 4 miles. For some people, it might be 30 minutes. Okay? Some people, it might be 20 minutes of just walking away from what your mind is thinking about and just walking. And when you walk, you relax. So it allows dopamine to start taking place in your bloodstream. That hormone gets released. Like I say, when I come back, I'm dancing. I'm incredibly excited. Another one is things like, for example, doing boxing. Some people like doing things like kickboxing or jump rope, whatever it is. That is all workout. Number 2, music is an amazing way to start altering the cortisol. Okay? When you make that switch to listen to an uplifting music, not something that would further make you feel depressed, because sometimes when people are feeling that way or experiencing the high of a cortisol level, they look for music that feeds that. And let me explain how that works. You're depressed, then all of a sudden you're feeling sad like that, then you look for music that speaks about how sad you are. That is not the kind of music I'm talking about. That is something that is just speaking to you at the time, because misery loves company. So misery will look for other misery to have as company to enjoy, so they stay in that misery forever. Okay? That's not what I'm talking about. The kind of music I'm talking about, like for example, I would listen to uplifting classical music that will make me feel good. Okay? Or I listen to dance music that will make me feel good. Dancing has always been a go-to for me. I just get in there and listen to the good music and I start dancing. Believe me, for those moments that I'm listening to that and dancing, I do not think of my situation or my problem or my sadness. I do not ruminate on that at all. I am just in my dancing music and just enjoying that. Music is a great way to turn things around. Okay? The other way is to contact somebody that you feel safe to be vulnerable with. You feel safe to talk to about what you're dealing with or how you're feeling, or just talking to them about anything else that's not about what you're dealing with. Okay, sometimes talking to your loved ones or your friends about something fun, something silly, it takes your mind off of that rumination, that sadness, that situation that it didn't go right. And by the time you realize you're actually more relaxed and then smiling and happier. Okay? Dopamine, great way to work with that. We'll be back after our